Bienvenidos, worldwide fans of the planet's hottest entertainment with an edge. Jaime En Fuego here, welcoming you to my namesake program Enfuegotainment once again. And unfortunately though, this is a new ongoing weekly series that I am doing called SHITURDAY. That's right, every Saturday. I've been thinking about calling it Shatterday. Maybe that's like a slight bit less offensive or whatever. But this is where I feature a film that I have recently watched that unfortunately, based on the brown shirt that you see me rocking, yeah, you kind of know the route that we're going to be going with this. And the victim today is none other than Last Moment of Clarity that just came out this past week. Directorial debut by a pair of brothers that also wrote the script. And I was attracted to it because of the fact that Samara Weaving is in it, and I pretty much, at this particular point, will watch anything that she is in. You know, the Babysitter Mayhem, even the Hollywood show. I mean, I didn't particularly love that show, but she was good in that. And then, you know, she's kind of the more enticing and interesting and edgier version of Margot Robbie in my estimation. Check her out in Guns Akimbo, which also came out earlier this year. But yeah, so, and the fact that it was also billing itself as being slightly Hitchcockian, and I kind of dug the premise, at least from the trailer, although the trailer reveals so much of the plot to this film, it was almost to the point of overkill. And so that old saying of if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, but I will at least attempt to keep it brief in this regard, in the fact that the motivation of these characters more so than anything else, and the choppy editing and a very poor performance from our leads and stuff. Yes, I see some Samara's goodies and that's great and everything, whatever. It really, you know, it just boiled down to me more so than anything else, a very hackneyed and boring, predictable script that also didn't necessarily explain itself in quite the expanse that I wanted it to. And so just long story short, you apparently have this guy who has been hiding out in Paris for a while, and he is working for a very underutilized Brian Cox, who they probably had on set for like a day or so, and you know, he adds some sort of esteem to this cast aside from Samara. But really beyond that, this guy is positive that his presumably dead wife is actually alive still, despite the, you know, the mafia hit of sorts that went down that we see all about in the trailers. And like, so much of the mystery is spoiled in the trailer in that regard, so that's really on, you know, the team behind this that actually cut those promos and stuff for just divulging too much in the trailer, and yet not really if you're just like walking into this film. Like when I was watching it with Catherine, she was very confused because of the fact that there wasn't very much explained till right near the end of the film. So it's like, okay, I could have seen the trailer and got the predominance of this, and yet when you're watching the actual film and the way that it's edited, it's definitely not explaining things to a proper degree. So he thinks his wife is dead initially, and he's hiding from this mafia over in France, and then finds out through seeing a performance from this girl who looks just like his former flame, but she has different hair, and she has gone on pursuing acting, presumably, which is mentioned in a few not very sweet flashback scenes. Like, the chemistry between Samara and this guy is not really there, you know, and it's not even in a ton of scenes anyway, because of the fact that once he decides she is still alive, he goes back to LA, and he very randomly runs into this girl that he went to high school with. And so that's obviously extremely convenient, as he's being super stalkerish at the premiere and, you know, trying to talk to Samara's character, who he believes to be his wife that is in fact still alive, and she's with a new guy and all of this other stuff. But I really felt more so than anything for the sad sappiness of this girl who, for whatever reason, is into this genuinely creeper, strange dude who gives a pretty awful performance, unfortunately. He is not compelling. You are creeped out by him, as opposed to just feeling the sort of sympathy that the script is hoping that you will for him. And also, you struggle to wrap your mind around why this girl, who, I mean, she's working a premiere, she's got obviously things going on for her, why she has like the whole sad little puppy dog thing of just sympathy for this weird guy, and he's totally just mistreating her the entire time, taking advantage of her. She just longingly looks at him, and yet he is just there's very little of interest or captivation to his character. So that's when you really start to wrap your head around what the hell is wrong with this girl, if this is the kind of guy that she's falling for. And without going into a full spoiler review, because that's not what I'm intending this to be, because I don't recommend anybody watch this movie, is just the fact that, yeah, it's from the spoilery trailers, it does in fact go exactly where it kind of hints at in some ways, or at least what a lot of people from watching the trailer would presumably, assume is going to transpire. And yeah, Samara is good, I guess, when she's in it, but she is still used rather sparingly. This basically boils down to the whole, is she or isn't she just detective work that him and this girl are doing, and it very unabashedly ignores aspects of the law and the sort of consequences that you think this lead character, this doof of a guy, should actually endure. And I mean, unfortunately, even Brian Cox is doing like this very forced Scottish accent that's very lame. The dialogue is bad. I mean, it's decently shot, I suppose. I mean, you've got some nice red carpet stuff. You've got some beautiful views of, I assume, Los Angeles, but I mean, and also Paris, if that is in fact where they shot it, or if they just had something, I don't know, somewhere in Canada or whatever that just was able to, double as it, mimic it, whatever. But yeah, a very shoddy, boring, predictable script, uninspired performances, lack of chemistry, predictability, all of these things. And I hate to tear movies apart, but unfortunately I have to kind of put on my big dude shorts sometimes and actually say, look, this is not a film that it was filmed way back in 2018, finally got its release here in 2020. Samara is definitely going to continue, especially after Ready or Not, to become the sort of legit star that I personally perceive her to be. But this was not a memorable performance from her, and it could have, with this interesting premise, been something significantly better, but it was just the execution and the acting. And I guess that probably really does wrap around, because the two who are our little detective duo, the former husband and this girl that he knows from back in high school, they don't bring it. And I would dare to say that it was poor direction from these very unseasoned brothers that were behind the script and directed it, that this movie was as much of a disappointment as I found it to be. Because I was actually, based on the trailer, I was kind of excited, and that's why I actually went and braved a Redbox and rented it and did all that other stuff. I still really like supporting these smaller, like, indie newer directors as much as possible, but unfortunately it just doesn't always correlate with quality. And so, I'm not going to say this is like a 1 out of 5 Fuego Fireballs or something, but it's definitely just barely a 2. It's probably more like a 1.5, but, I will at least round upward in this regard, and this gets 2 out of 5. Yeah, this is a malo film in my estimation, unfortunately, and regrettably, it's one of the weakest and most disappointing that I have seen here in the year of 2020. So, I've been Jaime En Fuego. Y'all can find me on all social media sectors like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. This is probably one that, based on the subject matter, could have migrated over to my other larger channel, The Horror Show, youtube.com/The Horror Show channel. That's where we've got almost 33,000 subscribers, and I'm just like creeping towards 1,000, 1K, 1GZ here on my personal channel. But I mean, just covering stuff on here, especially of the smaller variety, is definitely a passion. And I also do, like, comedy and art house drama, and I geek out on my Star Wars and superhero stuff and things like that. I do an animated Monday and various other things. But yes, this is my own little personal channel, and porfa y gracias, give a little like, share, subscribe if you were down with the forewarning that this video threw at you. Yes, dangling Samara in all the promotional material and make her seem such a prevalent part is one thing, but she's not. and that's about as much as I need to spoil as far as just letting you know that this is really not worth your time, unfortunately. But yes, also over on The Horror Show, that's where myself, showrunner Cecil Laird, he was also the other producer along with myself, Susie von Slaughter, Marsha Parker, Robert Duell, Andrew Mercer. We cover everything spooktacular, whether it's trailer reactions. I do a weekly Stephen King show, unboxings, video game let's plays, lots of rad status stuff over there. This, unfortunately, was not rad status, despite my affinity for the Aussie Ms. Weaving. So, I'm Enfuego. Y'all have been super coolio, and until the Reel of Ka comes around once more, hasta luego, Cinemigos, constant readers and viewers alike. But I'm hopeful that we share more of this palaver sooner rather than later, but hopefully it will be under better circumstances. So, until then, stay indoors and watch and read more. Support our entertainment.